the Pioneer viewers, how are you doing? I hope you're healthy and well as always. And as the Pioneer team, we continue to share our reports on Russia-Ukraine war with you. And in a moment, we will analyze the latest situation on the front line with a map. The war ravaging that Eastern Europe continues in full intensity and there is active both on the front line and behind the front line. And the Russian army wants to increase the amount of Ukrainian territory under its control, but that is under its occupation by the continuing its attacks. On the other hand, the Ukrainian armed forces, which resist with great determination, continue their struggle with determination again. And according to the latest reports, the front line is a bit compressed. There are not many border changes, but especially the Donetsk front line, and the situation on the Donetsk front line remains critical. So what are the latest situation on the front line? Before we start our report, I need to make a small reminder. As the Pioneer team, we continue to bring you the developments regarding the Russia-Ukraine war. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so that you don't miss our daily map reports and reports on the agenda. I also read all of your comments on our videos, so please continue to express your opinions about our content in the comments. Let's start, if you are ready, the Pioneer reports. So let's start with the latest developments on the Zaporizhzhia front line. First, let's see the Robotin sector of the Zaporizhzhia front line in a map. According to the latest reports, the fighting in the area seems to be largely focused on what is left on Robotin, and both sides are actively working on the long-range defeat vehicles, and the fighting in the region is furious. However, neither army has yet been able to gain the upper hand over the other, and the Ukrainian army and armed forces, of course, need to take more active positions here in the coming days. Otherwise, it would be a waste of Ukrainian armed forces' efforts so far. Another point is the northwest of Verbov. The fighting here is largely a battle of positions. Neither army seems to intended to make any significant progress, but as we observe that there is only an effort to maintain positions, and in general, we can say that there is no significant change in the borderline on the Zaporizhzhia front. However, our main fighting points remain and Robotin and Verbov. Going to continue with that. So let's continue with the artillery activity in the region. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted the Robotin, Orikhiv, Malaytok-Maksha, and Vasilivka lines. On the other hand, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted units of the Russian armed forces stationed in Verbov, Solotka-Balka, and Ichenkov. Let's continue by looking at the latest developments on the Donetsk front line. According to the latest reports, on the Donetsk front line, the Russian armed forces have achieved small tactical successes in the Novomikhailivka as a result of the offensive's actions. The Ukrainian defense there has indeed held out quite successfully for a quite long time, and we think that further resistance will be fruitless. Ukrainian troops can establish a further backline of defense here and protect their existing personnel. On the other hand, there are positional battles in the Pobeda and Novelsky area. We can say that it is a similar situation to Verbov. Both armies are currently testing each other, and there is a possibility that there will be some movements in the coming days. So, of course there is, but there are very good chances. On the other hand, the Permovskoye, the Russian forces continue to attack in the settlements, and they are advanced, but with a great difficulty. It is also noted by the Russian sources, and according to many Russian sources, it will take a long time to break Ukrainian resistance here. Units of the Ukrainian armed forces continue to put up stubborn resistance in this area. The important issue concerns the Orlivka line. For some time now, there has been a triangular area on the Donetsk front line that has been focused of the Russian armed forces. The Russian armed forces have been squeezing the Ukrainian armed forces on the Tonikoy, Orelyivka, Berdiaty line for some time. And the Ukrainian troops abandoned the Dashes area on the Donikoy line due to the tactical retreat, and the Russian troops took advantage of this gap and entered the area. At the same time, units of the Russian armed forces have been developing successes in this Orlyivka area for some time, and the fierce resistance of the Ukrainian armed forces was observed in Berdiaty during this period. The Russian armed forces also insisted on this area. According to the latest reports, units of the Ukrainian armed forces have begun to withdraw from the Orlyivka line and from a defense line further back. There are many such reports, but however, most of them have not yet been confirmed. On the other hand, similar claims are being made about Tonikoy. But this information has not yet been confirmed either. All that is known is that the fierce fighting between the two armies continues in Berdiachi, and the situation in the region is characterized by uncertainty. Let me continue with the artillery activity in the region. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted units of the Ukrainian armed forces stations in Semenkenivka, Berdiachi, Novobakhmutovka, and Permaivskoye. In turn, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted units of the Russian armed forces stations in Severnoye and Vodiane. Let's continue with the latest developments on the Bakhmut front line. According to the latest reports on the Bakhmut front line, the Russian armed forces are continuing their attempts to expel the Ukrainian armed forces units from the western outskirts of Ivanivsky, but the Ukrainian armed forces units are putting up strong resistance to surrender the plateau. On the other hand, there are some reports that the Russian troops have made new advances in the vicinity of the Klishchiivka. However, these reports have not yet been confirmed, and there is a similar situation around Kosovyar. The units of the Russian armed forces want to deepen the offensive's operations. Let me continue with the Kharkiv and Sumy, which we consider to be part of the Free Russian Legion's offensives. According to some reports, the effectiveness of the military operations in the region has noticeably decreased, but the activity of the Ukrainian armed forces against Russian positions on the borderline continues. There are numerous reports of artillery shelling in the Kursk and the Belgrade regions. So, according to sources in the Free Russian Legion, however, there has been no reduction in operations in the region. The members of the Free Russian Legion are still inside the borders of the Russian Federation and are continuing operations. It is likely that reports of calm in this region are propaganda from the Russian leadership, but however, it remains to be seen whether this operation will continue. And what exactly is the Free Russian Legion aiming for this operation? So this is also a big unknown. We can say that this is the unknown that scares the Russian administration at the moment. So what do you think? Which side do you think the situation in Robotin will favor? And how do you interpret the resistance of the Ukrainian armed forces on the Zaporizhzhia front line? Do you think the Ukrainian army should pull back its defense lines in some areas? And what do you think is the goal of the Free Russian Legion? Let me know in the comments, because you know that I read and I care about all of your comments.